Howdy folks, welcome back, and if you happen to be new, please subscribe while you're here. This video is super exciting for me. I've been really looking forward to making this video, and it's a long time in the makings. So basically, if you don't follow along normally, I've been working in the motorcycle industry since I was like 19. I'm 36 now, so whatever that is. I've bought a ton of motorcycles, both personally and professionally, and I love the things. I've been riding Harleys the last 10 years or so, maybe a little bit less, and I've never bought a new one. I have 5.5 Harleys right now. Never bought a new one because basically Harley has never built a bike that I didn't need to change everything right away. That along with, you know, the money and working in the industry, you get deals, blah, blah, on used stuff. But that's changed. I bought my first brand new motorcycle, the Lowrider ST. This bike came out 2 years ago, and I super fell in love with it as soon as it came out. It basically is like, you know, a modern sport cruising motorcycle, just performance, and it's a bagger, but it's not a full-size bagger. I live in California. I'm in the mountains, so it's a lot of twisties, and then when we're in the city, it's splitting lanes. So having not a bagger is awesome. I've had big bikes, I've had a bunch of bigger Harleys, but my main bike is the FXDX Dyna right there. And basically, I bought the ST to replace that because at this point, I think we're at 79,000 miles on it. And although everything works good, it still runs great, no leaks, it's a solid bike, it's getting long in the tooth, and I didn't really want to, you know, rebuild it and all that, especially when this thing came out. And out of the box, let me tell you about this bike. It's insane. Over 100 horsepower, 124 foot-pounds of torque, stock. Insanity. And that's before, you know, changing stuff, which we all do. And I am so excited to dive into this thing. So here she is in 100% stock form. I just picked it up last week. I haven't put anything on it yet, but I have a whole bunch of stuff already ordered and on the way. But in stock form, this bike is awesome. Inverted forks from the factory, dual disc brakes, floating rotors, an awesome fixed fairing. But if you look, it's not that fat. It's not like, you know, the old Road Glide or Street Glide. It's definitely a lot smaller and slimmer. I love the cockpit. Super simple. They do make a stereo for it, and I did not get that because I don't really listen to music while I ride. It's just a preference thing. And like I was saying, it has a ridiculous amount of power stock. It comes with a 117 and a 6-speed transmission. On the freeway at like 70 plus miles an hour, it's just over 2,000 RPMs. Insane. This thing, at least 1,000 or so RPMs more. Also, you know, you get into crazy stuff like this bike is totally redesigned. As of 2018, they came out with the Lowrider. 2022, they came out with the ST. And of course, I wanted one when they first came out, but insane dealer markups. They were really hard to get, especially in California. You know, this bike is built for the West Coast club style thing in mind. Performance, everything, and sleek and all that. So getting my hands on one of these things, it just was not feasible when they first came out. But now we're 2 years out, and my stars aligned, and I was finally in the position to pick one up, and there's not a lot of used ones. So of course, I always look used first. Like I said, I've never bought a brand new motorcycle, although with this one, I really wanted to, just because for a lot of reasons. One, I get to put every single mile on it. I get to break the thing in correctly. And I keep my bikes, well, some of them, as like I said, the Dyna has 79,000 miles on it. And the reason it has that many miles on it is because I've been up on the maintenance. And that is super important when it comes to Harley Davidsons. They are really quality machines, but you got to do the maintenance. It's a big deal. So that was a huge aspect of getting a new one. Also, used, these things are the same price as a new one. Now you get into dealers that are charging, still trying to do the dealer markup and all that. I got this bike from San Jose Harley Davidson, and they were more than willing to work with me on the price. I'm not going to say what they sold it to me for, but they were super reasonable on it. And I actually ended up paying kind of less, actually. I was looking at a used one that had some mods, and the guy was pretty firm on the price. He ended up selling it, and it worked out really good because I went into the dealer and they just worked with me so much on the new one that I'm very thankful that that deal actually didn't go through. Also, I looked all over and everyone has loans on them. Very few people have title in hand, so you're going and hoping somebody's paying off a loan, and then they're gonna get a title and then get it to you, and it's kind of messy. Not all the Harley Davidson dealers want to deal with the rider-to-rider transaction. I didn't know that. And they'll only do that if you're financing through them. But if you're just paying for it, they don't want to deal with you. So I scratched that whole idea, went down and got a brand new one. And I want to give a special shout out to Santino, the sales manager there, and then Rush, the salesman who worked with me on this. Super professional guys. They did a great job. They had the bike that I wanted. The ones on the floor had the stereo. Like I said, I didn't want the stereo, so they had one in a crate. They pulled out, worked out awesome, and we got the deal done. So I'm stoked on a bunch of stuff about this bike, but one of the things that I like more than I thought I would is the new gauge setup. I have the traditional big round gauges, and I know you can switch to those. This screen is actually super easy to see when you're riding. It has range and all kinds of cool stuff. RPM, miles. You can see I got 243 miles on her so far. But yeah, the dash was surprisingly easy to see, and that part of the technology I wasn't expecting to be stoked on, but I am. And when it comes to riding this bike compared to my Dyna or the FXR or even the Sportster, they're not even in the same class. It is basically, when I got home from the dealership, I pulled in and my wife came out and she's like, hey, what do you think? And I pointed to the FXR and I said, that is like a word processor or a typewriter. The Dyna is like, Windows 98. This is an iPhone 15 Pro Max Turbo, whatever. It is just, it's in its own field. The way that it handles, the power, the braking, the suspension. You can't make a 39 mil front end work like this inverted front end. It just, the whole bike, the chassis design is a lot different. The bike feels super planted. I'm still getting used to the seating position. It feels more like the FXR as far as sitting in the bike versus the Dyna's like riding a horse where you're like sitting up on it. I also have pretty tall handlebars on the Dyna. I think that those are 12-inch risers with a 2-inch bar, something like that. And these are a bit lower, but I already have risers on the way because I'm taking this bike to Sturgis in just a couple weeks, and we're going to do videos on the whole thing. It's going to be awesome. My buddy Jordan and I got a house out there, and we're going to do an epic adventure, and it's going to be crazy. So get excited about that because I am. In the meantime, I need to pound out the break-in miles on this thing and do the first service before I hit the road. It's just, you don't break in a motorcycle on the freeway and that kind of thing. You do it under 3,500 RPMs and varying throttle. And like I said, I plan on having this motorcycle a long time and putting a ton of miles on it. So I am doing the break-in by the book just to give us the best chances of getting the most mileage out of this thing. And we're going to push it. We're going to push it to its limits and see what she can do. So like I was saying, I have a ton of parts on the way. The first modification we're going to do is a riser setup. I'm not going crazy. We're only going 6.5 so we can still use all the stock hardware, just because I don't have a lot of time in between now and taking this thing on the road trip. So I'm not going to do anything too crazy as far as rewiring before that. I got a tour pack. I got, I don't know, I bought a whole bunch of stuff. A really cool phone mount, the new quad lock with the self-charger, and all the parts that I got for it, I'm going to be doing install videos and reviews on, and I will have links to where you can buy all the stuff and eventually, hopefully, get you some discounts. So not only am I pumped to add another beautiful black Harley Davidson to my collection and to get my first new Harley Davidson. So yeah, Harley Davidson, you finally earned my business. Other than t-shirts, you've never really gotten my money because all this stuff is secondhand. But you finally got me, and thanks for building a bike that is totally worth the money. Like I said, at first impressions, I could not be happier about this thing. So I'm also excited because I'm using this motorcycle to create a lot of content, both on YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. And we're going to make a lot of videos with it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you are new, please subscribe while you're here and look for tons of ST videos coming your way. See you soon.